Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Unversed podcast. Danny here. Today, we are talking about Lookism. This is a manhwa. Another one for my manga reviews, right, on my list. And, man, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know anything about this, right? I think this was recommended to me. I don't remember. But I just came in and I'm like, okay, what is this about? Is this a slice of life manhwa deal? Okay, let's check it out. And yeah, it has elements of that, but then reading more of it, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a lot of stuff going on in here. So the main premise of Lookism is we have our main character, Daniel, right? Because, okay, so I don't remember the Korean names, unfortunately, because at some point in the translations, they just used American names. So the main character, Daniel, bullied in high school, short, fat guy, hates his life. He just wants to transfer schools. Eventually he does. And he's on summer vacation. He's going to live by himself. And then one day he just wakes up in a new body. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is really me. Cool. And then he walks out and he hits something and he's like, what was that? And he looked and it's his original body, his short, fat one. And it's like, whoa, is that me? But wait, I'm here. So as he goes to wake the short, fat body up, he knocks out, wakes up in the fat body. So it's like, oh, two bodies, one mind deal going on. And from there, he's just like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to school in my new body and then work a graveyard shift at a convenience store in my old body. And it goes into so much content, this manhwa. We get a bunch of characters we get introduced to. And at one point, reading this manhwa, I was like, is this about to become like a delinquent manhwa? Right? Because it's like he fights he gets into fights and his new body's so agile and athletic that he can just fight as well, pretty good. So he fights this boxer and then there's this group, the best group called the Burn Knuckles. And then he fights another character as well. And then there's just a point where because he got involved with these characters, they changed, they became good of heart. And then there was just a shot of these characters together, and I looked at it, I'm like, this is just a delinquent manga at this point, especially when they had to go save one of their friends from these other guys who were basically delinquents. And that goes into oh, well, really, don't worry, we will handle it. And it's like, yeah, this feels like a delinquent manga because you have the new guy coming in who's super strong, super likable as a character, and they're just drawn towards him, and that's even in other delinquent mangas, it's like, oh, a leader from a group will leave and join this guy's new group, pretty much, but it's an unofficial group type of deal. That's just how delinquent mangas go, and that's where I thought this manhwa was heading to. And no, I mean, it has a lot of elements of a bunch of other stuff, as our main character is so handsome and all that, we get into the world of pop stars and modeling and all that kind of stuff. And the interesting part about this manhwa is, every character is based off of a real person, So, and to my surprise, later down the line, Daniel meets this guy named Duke, who's in the, I think it's the music department. And he's in the same situation as Daniel used to be, short and fat. Everybody hates him. But, he keeps going, keeps struggling, trying on. And that's why Daniel respects him so much, because he's like, I was in the same position. He always feels bad for people who get bullied at his new school or people that looked like him. So he tries to befriend them and get them out of that world. Because he's having an enjoyable experience in school for the first time in who knows how long. So he wants that for other people as well. And there's a festival coming up and, everybody's just shitting on Duke and they're like, well, do we have any more volunteers for performances? And Duke said, you know what? Fuck it. So he rose his hand up while he was being bullied. And then, walking around, he heard Daniel sing. And Daniel's body, of course, it's so perfect. He has a great voice. So he asked Daniel to perform with him. And they go on stage, Duke wrote all the lyrics and stuff. And this is where it tripped me out of how different this is. I was reading it. And on the side of the panel, it said, if you're on the site, click this link to listen to the MP3 that goes along with this chapter. And I was like, what? And unfortunately, what I was reading was outsourced, so I had to look it up on YouTube. We're doing it differently this episode. So that's this song that they sang in the chapter. It's chapter 27. That's actually going to be the outro for this episode, so go check it out. And I was like, wow, that's very different. You know, I mean, I've had an idea like that as well for mangas, you know, so that was pretty cool. And man, this guy, whoever's writing this, is interesting, because some of the stuff that pops in here is very weird, and sometimes it gets really fucked up. So the author's name is Park Tae-jun, right? He's the one who writes Lookism. And yeah, so some of the stuff he writes, like there was a point where, in a sense, I feel like in a sense it's filler, right? Because we've had so much plot content, and then it's the manhwa, sort of sidetracks into like other subjects or topics. And it, you know, it happens a lot more than what I would have thought, which it doesn't really bother me as much, but sometimes it's like there was a crucial arc that just happened in the manhwa, right? I'm caught up to like the newest chapter, and like 2, 3, 4 chapters in a row of just other filler, other side stories that are going on. And I'm like, whoa, man, like I don't care for this. I want to see what's going on over there, you know, with our main character. What just happened? Everything going on with that. I want to see what else, like how did that affect the world that we're in? And then it's like, it's going on to this other filler stuff, and I just wasn't feeling it. But early on we get this filler stuff, and you know, and it's kind of filler, right? Because it's not progressing the story. However, it does make characters develop more. You know, they grow a little bit more. So it's not a total loss of filler, right? But some of it just, I don't know, this guy can draw some creepy faces. Let me just tell you. Like the first one I read was about one of the main characters, Zoe. She wanted to be, you know, she's all like Miss Popular or whatever. And she saw somebody at school was being basically a streamer, and she was like, well, I could beat that. And they're girl streamers, you know, to quote, Critical, it's like, oh, just titty streams basically is what it is. And she gets this creepy guy who, you know, just donates all the time. You know, he has this very obsessive attitude towards streamers like that. And then you get a look at his living conditions and what is going on in his life, and I'm like, dude, this is fucking weird. Like this is what we're doing right now, guys. Like, oh my god, it's fucking crazy. And then it escalates, and then we see what happens, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is some crazy stuff. And then there was other filler, but again, it's like, I call it filler because it deviates from the main storyline. However, this one's a flashback as to why the characters are who they are, and it does also set up a future character too. So it's like half filler. I think these arcs are half fillers, but like just like this cult gets involved, and like there's a bunch of crazy stuff that happens with these characters, like traumatic experiences that I just wasn't expecting when I first read the couple arcs of Lookism. I was like, wow, like what is going on, you know? I do have some faults with this manhwa though. Of course, everything is pretty good. I like almost all the characters, but one I don't like is, I forget his name. I think it's like Jim or whatever. But it's this short nerdy guy who Daniel helped, you know, and he protected him from being bullied, and, you know, they became friends, this and that. But every time he becomes a main focus in the manhwa for his arc, I hate it. I hate it so much because there's no progression with his character at all. He gets into a situation where he gets really screwed, right? Like either like he's like, these guys are just going to beat the shit out of him, or like financially he is struggling to the point where, you know, he sold the deed to their house. You know, he put it up for a bet, and he's just in this self-destructive like rage, like this road that he's going through, and he doesn't know what else to do. And, of course, Daniel being Daniel goes to him, gets the other guys, helps him out, saves the day. And I was like, it was cool the first time, but then it kept happening, and it happened like, I think 3 times. And, you know, at that point I was like, I just don't care about this character anymore. Is there nothing else you can do to make this character interesting? You know, because at first the character this person didn't even feel like that, like this kind of characters, you know. So I was like, okay, whatever. But then the more we got into it, the more I'm like, yeah, no, like, fuck this guy. I don't want to see him anymore. And we're probably never going to see him again, mainly because they gave us a time frame when he would probably come back. And excuse me, I just don't see the manhwa lasting that long. You know, because, you know, manhwas and mangas alike, when they start in high school, right, like your first year of high school, they usually end with high school. You know, it's very rare to see a manhwa go to like college, you know, or continue on after that. You know, Yankee-kun and Megane, you know, that went to college, but that was like one arc, and it didn't work. So I just don't see this character ever returning, which is for the best. But that's pretty much my main complaint about the manhwa, aside from these half-filler arcs that are going on. I mean, come on, let's be real, guys. My favorite character, it has to be Vasco. You know, this guy is great. And man, like, again, going back to like the fucked up shit in here, his flashback, you know, that we got with him and his friend, explaining why who they are, right? And where they're at in their lives. And we just see what happened to them in middle school. It's like, oh my God, dude, like, that is some gnarly stuff. You know, it's like, I wasn't expecting that kind of emotional trip when reading this. You know, I thought I was just gonna have a fun, good time, but seeing this, it's like, holy crap. And there is a game changer that does show up. It's a character. I don't want to spoil it, because that goes into like a wholly different direction than what I was thinking originally this manhwa was going. So at least that was entertaining. And yeah, I mean, overall, like, the manhwa does get fun when it wants to be fun. You know, it gets serious when it needs to be. It has a decent balance at that. The art style is great. Sometimes it feels like, you know, when you go on like Photoshop or whatever, and you try to posterize an image, right? Or like where basically it goes high contrast and then like less detail on the images. That's what it feels like sometimes. It's like there's not enough features or details when it comes to like the faces of these characters. And then sometimes there's like a little too much, but that's for a comical sense. So that's pretty fun. And I mean, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about Lookism. I'm looking very forward to the next arc. Once this one's over, I think this one's going to end in a week or two as of this recording. So I'm great for that. And, you know, I mean, I guess I'll talk about it right now too. Our main character, he can be likable majority of the time, but right now at the current arc, and it's been a recurring theme, you know, he gets so much self-confidence with his new body, right? But his character never grows with that confidence, right? When he gets put into critical situations, that maybe involves his past life, or, you know, something similar to it, or he gets reminded of who he is and who he's supposed to be, he sort of lacks that confidence that he gained. You know, his character regresses back. And that's the big deal about this current arc, in the manhwa, is he's too self-conscious about what he hasn't become, to the point where he decides he has to go on a journey and he doesn't know whether he's going to come back or not, right? And that all depends whether or not his character develops. Does he grow? You know, does he become more mature? And we do see the result of that in the latest chapter, and I can't wait to see what he does, you know, in the following chapters to come, as it goes into this new arc, you know, or as this arc resolves. Actually, I'm really interested to see what this author does for this character. And it's not heavily, well, no, I wouldn't say heavily, but every now and then this manhwa shows us something about the character Daniel with his old body, which to me does bring certain questions, because I'm like, well, wait a minute. You know, do you see what's going on here? Right? At least I saw what was like certain changes with the main character. And it's not really touched much on yet, anyways, because we did get some info in the previous arc that is happening. That was definitely a plot changer. So, yeah, a lot of interesting stuff, man. And there's still a shroud of mystery, and I think that's all right, you know, because the author did a good job of building the universe up before we got into some heavy plot changing stuff that will move the course of the way Daniel goes on about his life. So all props to that. So again, go check out Lookism. I highly recommend it. It was a surprisingly good time. I was not expecting to have as much fun as I did with it. And I just can't wait to see where it goes from here. I'll definitely probably talk about it on the podcast more, maybe. Who knows, maybe do a part 2 if any arcs get pretty serious, you know? So we'll see how that goes. And while we wait for that and the newest episodes, remember you can always email us at unversedpodcast@gmail.com. Have you read Lookism? What are your thoughts on it? I would love to hear them. And of course, you can always follow us on social media anywhere you go at Unversed Podcast to stay updated for posts and all that great stuff. And oh yeah, and of course, you know, where we're going to be at for the next conventions out here. So be on the lookout for those posts as well. Thanks everybody for listening. And as always, we will talk to you next time.
내가 처음 뱉은 람들로 가사를 뱉을 때 관객들로 메워싸인 이 무대를 누빌 때 박자를 절고 가사를 까먹는 드라마 없기를 바래 이건 TV 속에서 보던 드라마 소름이 끼쳐리어 설도했지 않세번 난 영웅이 될 거야 어리적 꿈의 메칸더 V 마스터피 또는 여기 마스터키 롤모델들과 한참 할 거야 이 마스터끼리 안 된다 했고 날 내려봤던 모두 날 반해 쌓이는 이 무대 위에서 숨을 거듬 멍청한 표정 쩍 벌어진 너의 배 침 뱉어 주러 다시 돌아온다 I'll be back
지나간 아픔들은 지워 yeah. 어제와 다른 오늘 so beautiful day yeah. 두려움을 딛고 한 걸음 뛰면 따갑던 하늘들은 아무것도 아니야 be okay 혼자서만 듣던 내 목소리 자신감 없는 나만의 스테이지 yeah, yeah. 끝없이 노력하다 보니 어느새 난 이 무대 위에서 노래해
방에 붙은 포스터 내가 될 준비됐어 미래 준비를 위해선 가사를 쓰는 게 최선 열등감에 대한 개선 나는 최대한 피했어 가기로 맘먹어 내 도달지 마 여기에 대서 고생만 했던 맘 이젠 편해질 차례 우리 행복을 위해서 너가 도와주길 바래 별거 없어 시발 그냥 이 그대로를 즐겨 오늘도 가사 쓰려 난 컴퓨터 켜고 불 꺼
지나간 아픔들은 지워 yeah. 어제와 다른 오늘 so beautiful day yeah. 두려움을 딛고 한 걸음 뛰면 따갑던 하늘들은 아무것도 아니야 be okay 지나간 아픔들은 지워 yeah, yeah. 어제와 다른 오늘 so beautiful day 따갑던 하늘들은 아무것도 아니야 be okay 따갑던 하늘들은 아무것도 아니야 be okay